I stepped into the opulent ballroom where the air shimmered with the aroma of expensive perfume and the clink of fine crystal laughter. My sturdy boots thudded against the polished mahogany floor, each step ringing out like a blacksmith's hammer on an anvil. Then her eyes met mine, Claudia, my wife's sister. Her beauty was cold and cutting, like a shard of ice. She tilted her head, a derisive laugh spilling from her lips. "Tinkering gearheads don't fit here," she mocked, her voice slicing to the chatter for all to hear. I allowed a subtle grin to curve my mouth, saying nothing, but her mother-in-law, an aging dowager adorned in heavy emeralds, paled. Her grip tightened on her wine glass as she leaned toward her husband, whispering, "That's him." The music faltered, conversations dwindled, and for the first time that night, every gaze in the room pinned me in place. They had no idea who I really was. A year before, I might have shrugged off Claudia's venomous words with a chuckle. Her tongue was a sharpened tool, crafted to belittle and bruise. But back then, her taunts didn't cut so deeply. I was merely the man lucky enough to wed Elise, Claudia's luminous, warm-hearted sister. We met when I was still in grease-streaked overalls, my hands stained with engine oil, building custom cars for collectors who couldn't tell a piston from a valve. Elise had strolled into my garage one afternoon, requesting a simple spark plug fix, and left with my heart. She called me genuine, said she was tired of men with polished grins and hollow souls. Perhaps that's what unsettled her in the end. Genuine hearts bear flaws. My love for her burned fiercely, and in some raw, hollow way, it lingers still. That's why what followed scorched me to my core. It started with a missed dinner, then another, followed by a weekend retreat to visit her cousin. But the moment that seared itself into my memory was the scent of cologne on her scarf, not mine, sharp and unfamiliar. I held my silence, letting it become my weapon, her doubt my advantage. I followed her trail. She hadn't hidden it well. Perhaps she thought I wouldn't notice. Assumed I was just a grease-stained mechanic too engrossed in motors to care. But I'm more than that. I own 7 auto shops, 5 performance garages, and silent shares in enterprises, so discreet they leave no trace. I also have a private investigator who owes me favors that bind his loyalty. Within a week, I had snapshots, hotel receipts, and bank statements. The other man? Marcus, Claudia's husband. Sleek smile, empty spirit. The betrayal gutted me. But I didn't crumble. I built. Vengeance isn't a blaze. It's a blueprint, carefully drawn, layered with intent. First, I quietly purchased a debt on Marcus's failing business through a veiled holding company. Nothing flashy. Then I tipped the IRS toward some irregularities in his accounts. Not outright illegal, but enough to make him sweat. He started liquidating assets, which only hastened my plan. Next, I forged connections, subtle dinners with Claudia's enemies, high society women who loathed her polished, haughty perfection. I fed them just enough gossip, affairs, financial collapse, cosmetic mishaps. Nothing provable, all poisonous. As for Elise, I didn't confront her. I grew distant, measured, yet just warm enough to keep her unsteady. One evening she sobbed, begging me to share my heart. I held her tightly, murmured, in time, and meant every word. That night, the gala was Claudia's triumph. A lavish charity event where everyone sparkled like royalty. I arrived unannounced, clad in black, no tie, wearing leather gloves. A quiet storm. My entrance was a fuse. Claudia's taunt was a trap closing. But her mother-in-law, Evelyn Warwick, recognized me. She remembered me from a deal 4 years earlier, because beneath the grease and garage walls, I'm the silent partner in the firm that just acquired her family's empire, the empire that funds their extravagant lives, the one I'd fully own by morning. I raised my glass to Evelyn. She didn't return the gesture, only muttered, "That's him," as if I were a phantom brandishing a blade. A hush spread through the room, like a spill of ink. I turned to Elise, standing too close to Marcus. I tilted my head. "Marcus," I said, "you never paid for that engine rebuild." He blinked, puzzled. "What?" From my coat, I pulled photographs, spreading them across the dessert table. "Seems you neglected more than your car." Gasps erupted. A man's wine glass shattered on the floor. Claudia's gaze flicked to the images, her eyes narrowing, her mouth opening in disbelief. Then, slap, her hand struck Marcus's cheek, the sound echoing. Elise sank into a chair, shaking, whispering my name like a plea for mercy. But I wasn't done. I drew a final envelope from my jacket, placing it beside the chocolate tarts. Inside were papers, deeds of ownership, every company, every property, every asset they thought they controlled. Now mine. I met Evelyn's stare. You wagered on a name you didn't understand. Now I'm the owner and you're all obsolete. The room erupted, shouts, tears, accusations. I turned and left, never looking back. I didn't need to. That was 8 months ago. Claudia divorced Marcus, taking half of what was already dust. Evelyn tried to sue me. She failed. Elise called me 51 times, leaving voicemails heavy with sorrow, tears, and regret that came too late. I never answered. Now I live in a quiet place, with hills on the horizon and peace in the silence. I work on cars when the urge strikes, but mostly I create things no one expects. They saw me as just a mechanic. But they missed one truth. Mechanics know how to take apart and rebuild stronger than before. Let them remember me as they choose. The man in heavy boots, hands marked with oil, vengeance in his blood. But I remember them, and how silence, when wielded well, thunders louder than any tempest.